Initiating Movieboys podcast. Still loading. Tempest and Ryan are on their way. Welcome. Please enjoy the show.
And we are back with another episode of Movieboys. I am Ryan, and I'm here with my co-host Tempest.
Hello there.
And today we're going to kind of just be doing a 2023, what have we seen this year that we haven't talked about more extensively, and kind of, I'm going to talk about some things that I've seen. Tempest is going to talk about some things that he's seen, and we're going to just go back and forth and kind of give like shorter takes on movies that we might recommend that you could see in theaters or at home or whatever. And Tempest, did you want to kick this one off?
Okay, so this was, I guess, like the day we were filming this was actually supposed to be like just the day that we were going to be recording our thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy, but I didn't end up seeing this, and it's for what I feel is a very valid reason to me personally. So I initially bought tickets to go see, and these are like evening tickets, so it's like the more expensive ones, so it's like $30 for like me and my partner to go see it, and I ended up picking him up from the airport, and he was just like fucking tired and exhausted, so we didn't end up going seeing it, which is fine, like whatever. And then we got tickets like the next day, and it's like matinee prices, and then I got sick from eating like bad tacos, and then I didn't end up, we ended up missing the movie again. So I don't believe in God, but like I feel like it was a sign from God that I'm just not meant to see this movie, and I personally I don't feel like spending any more money on like movie tickets at this point, because I've spent like probably like $40 and I still haven't seen the fucking movie. So I can't. And then I looked up spoilers for Guardians online, and I was like, okay, this is fine. Like I'll just deal with this. But you actually did get to see the movie. So what are your thoughts on it?
All right. So I'm sorry that you didn't get to see it, but yeah, I have to say, I think that it is kind of a shame that we didn't get to talk about this, because I really liked this a lot. I think it's probably, it's hard to say like how, like if this is like the best Marvel movie in like the last like 5 years or something, but it might be for me. It might be my favorite. I think that one of the reasons why I was really looking forward to this and not a lot of the other Marvel movies is James Gunn. Like I really love him as a director, and I think that he just brings like a unique personality to the Marvel like machine, and I think it kind of shines through, and it feels like he's actually kind of allowed to do what he wants to do and make these. And the movie, it feels like this is going to sound stupid. It feels like a movie. Like it feels like it has a beginning, a middle, and end. The characters learn something and they grow, and it doesn't feel like, and I feel that way about the other two Guardians movies too, but the characters learn and they grow. It's like a standalone, like like compact story that you can just watch. You could just watch this one and not watch the other two, and you would still get like a solid beginning, middle, and an end. And it feels self-contained in a way that a lot of these don't. And the stakes are a lot smaller in a way that I felt was refreshing. Like it feels like, and I was going to talk a little bit about the Ant-Man Quantumania movie, which is like literally the polar opposite for me in every single conceivable way of like how you cap off like a trilogy of movies in just the complete, just the complete opposite, because it in every way that movie feels like an antithesis to everything that I like about Guardians 3. But yeah, I really ended up enjoying this, and I feel like it's not the movie that is going to make me keep coming back to Marvel, though, because I almost just see this as like, well, this is James Gunn's last movie with Marvel, and I don't know if this is going to win me back to go see like the Marvels or whatever is coming next. You know what I mean? But I do think this is worth checking out, even if you're tired of Marvel movies. If you liked the last two Guardians movies, and if you're kind of tired of Marvel movies, I still think this is probably worth checking out.
Where would you rank all the Guardians movies? Because I remember I really liked the second one. So how would you rank it compared to that one in the first one?
See, I think for me, and this is probably like a controversial like ranking of the movies, I also think the second one is my favorite. I feel like the emotional core of that movie like works the best out of the three. But I think this might be my second favorite. Like I think I do like it more than the first one. And it's just I feel, again, I feel like making the third one just completely centered around Rocket Raccoon and his backstory, which his backstory in this movie, it is definitely predictable. Like right when it starts, you know exactly where it's going. It deals with, like a big theme of this movie is like animal abuse. And that is kind of hard to watch. And it was pretty surprising. Like, I think this is probably one of the darker movies in like the Disney Marvel cinematic universe for that reason. Like, there's straight up just scenes of like animal torture in this movie, and it's I might be like overselling it for how like graphic it is, but I could definitely see people taking young kids to this movie and them being a little bit disturbed, considering what a lot of these Marvel movies are like. But I respect that James Gunn is willing to go there and just to create a villain who is basically like an insane like Nazi eugenicist. I like he is probably one of the best villains in the Marvel universe, period. I think just for he is just so despicable and evil and irredeemable in every way, and you just genuinely hate him. And there's no like Thanos like attempt to make him like a little bit more likable. Maybe he had like maybe his mom yelled at him when he was a little kid. And there's even a really fun scene with Star-Lord where he does try to give that like Thanos monologue, and Star-Lord is just like basically like, fuck off. I don't care about like whatever your backstory is. Fuck you. And it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of nice little subversions of the typical sort of Marvel tropes in this. And I think it's worth checking out.
I feel like, okay, I will say I probably will watch the movie at some point, even though I've like seen all the spoilers and it's, not gonna be the same viewing experience. But like, I am very tired of Marvel, and even I don't know. I guess like if like my circumstances didn't fucking happen with like the days I tried to go see the movie, I would have seen it. But like, I don't know. I just there was no third time's a charm for me, like trying to get to the theater to go see it.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't really want to talk about Ant-Man 3 that much because it's just very bad, and there's really not.
No. I have a serious question. So like Jonathan Majors plays Kang, the Conqueror, and I'm sure people have seen the news where like there's a bunch of stuff that's come out with him, what has he been? Does he have like? Is it a history of like physical assault or like sexual assault?
So I'm sure you saw what the main allegation was, which is that he like assaulted and like strangled his girlfriend in New York City. But after that, there were a lot of other allegations that came out that were like physical and like I think emotional abuse and stuff. I haven't read specifics on what those other allegations that were coming out were, but his main PR firm, which was like probably one of the biggest PR firms for like actors in Hollywood, like dropped him. So like that's pretty, that if like the PR firm isn't like willing to try to like salvage somebody who's basically been given the keys to the kingdom in the Marvel universe, and people have said like, you are the next like Thanos, you're the next even bigger than Thanos.
Yeah.
Like I have to imagine that all of these allegations are credible,
So like, how was he? Was he the best part of the Ant-Man movie when you watched it?
So yes, he is really good, and just like in he's great. He was great in Creed 3 also, but he is really good in Ant-Man. But my issue with him in Ant-Man is he just seems like he's in the wrong movie. Like Ant-Man is such a silly series, and it's like. And you have this character, I'm forgetting the name of MODOK. You have this character MODOK who everyone is memed to death already. It just looks like a JPEG stretched across like a robot head, basically.
Oh god,
and
yeah.
So
that was
he's like his main sidekick, and so you have Kang talking about like genociding every single like multiverse in the world, and then you have this character coming out, like this MODOK character coming out and like going, "Hey guys, what's going on? I tripped over myself." Like it's just like, what the fuck is this? Like this is it's fucking insane. It's just tonal whiplash like you've never seen in your entire life. It's crazy. So like I do think his performance is good, but it's like it's in the wrong movie, and it's just unclear why they chose. And it seems like they spun a big wheel on like, all right, what movie are we going to put the next big Marvel villain in? And they just spun a big wheel and it just landed on Ant-Man. And it's just, he has no connection to Scott Lang like whatsoever. It's just that he ended up meeting in the quantum realm. They ended up just meeting in the quantum realm, and that's why he ends up being his villain. And it just in this movie, and they just don't have that personal connection. Like, for example, so many of the villains in the Guardians movies do to the protagonists. Like, the villain in Guardians 3 has such a close connection with Rocket Raccoon, and that just makes it just makes it a lot more personal, and it makes you connect with it more in so many ways. But it just, again, it feels like a movie that's you're watching as like a stepping stone to other movies, and that's what I've started to hate about so many Marvel movies, and why I've started to feel so much fatigue for a lot of these movies. And that's because they don't, these movies, like so many of the Marvel movies, is like, especially Ant-Man, they don't take themselves seriously enough. Everything is played up as a joke, and at the same time they all feel like a stepping stone to get to somewhere else, and they don't feel like a self-contained movie. They feel like it feels like a long episode of a shitty TV show, you know? And that's what the Ant-Man movie felt like in a lot of ways.
When you went to go see it and then you showed me like screenshots of the MODOK character, I was like, no, I'm good. I don't need to see this. Also, fucking, did you see the press tour interview where they were talking to Michael Douglas and they're like, would you come back for another movie in the MCU? And he said, only if they kill my character. Which is just like, that's just like the most like, I'm tired of this shit. Like,
oh my God.
answer.
And speaking of like, okay, so admittedly, I'm a little fuzzier on the details with Ant-Man 3 because it's been so long since I've seen it, and it's just not memorable in any way. But his performance, I remember specifically just being like, he was just there reading lines. Like, he was like drinking in between takes and just walking out there like, just like saying whatever, and like just seemed tired. Like he like, I'd say other than Paul Rudd, like, like even like Michelle Pfeiffer, which a lot of people have said they liked her in this movie, she seemed, I usually love her in whatever she's in, but she just seemed exhausted. And it's just the entire thing, like, people sent around the memes saying that this movie looked like Spy Kids 3. And it really does. Like, it's like, okay, it's a bit of an exaggeration. And like, again, I think I always try to say this when I'm talking about a Marvel movie, like, these special effects artists are like way too overworked, and they're pushed on these insane deadlines. So that's why these movies just don't look very good. Like, you see in a movie like Avatar: The Way of Water, when SFX artists are actually given the time that they need, and it looks great. But this movie, it looks like shit. Like so many of these worlds, the quantum realm is just not well realized or interesting looking. It just looks like just goopy, and like just all kind of melds together, and it's so uninteresting. Like, compare this with Guardians 3, where I felt like each new planet or world that they went to, it felt like it was kind of this like sort of campy 60s 70s sci-fi aesthetic that James Gunn was going for, but it felt like there was a distinctive choice that was made, and it didn't feel like they just had them, like, you know, just add a crazy, obnoxious, like, colorful background wherever the actors were standing in like a really simple, like, medium shot in front of a green screen. Like, that's what the entire Ant-Man 3 movie felt like. But in Guardians 3, it really does feel like they're in like a physical place, and I think that's because they did actually build more sets for that movie.
Oh my God, they built sets?
Isn't that crazy?
Holy fuck.
Isn't that the entire Ant-Man 3 movie? Like, just look at some stills from it if anyone hasn't watched it and they're curious. It really does just look like all the actors weren't really directed that well, and they're all just kind of standing side by side. Like, I dare anyone to find stills from that movie where it isn't just an actor standing in front of a green screen. Like, there's no like interesting camera movements like there were in the first two Ant-Man movies. Aren't that great, but like there's some cool like camera techniques and like and special effects work, especially in the first one. Like, I really liked some of the I remember, it's also been forever since I've seen that movie, but I liked a lot of the it was a fun idea to have like a character like getting smaller and bigger and using that to his advantage to like punch people or create more momentum. Like, that the way that they shoot that movie is pretty fun, and just all of that is gone here. Like, it's just it's not funny. Like, there's actually moments in the first two Ant-Man movies that will make you laugh, even though a lot of it is kind of corny Marvel humor. This movie is like very just dull and humorless, and a lot of it just seems like it's either like sitcom jokes or it's like a first pass where you would, maybe you know that you're gonna you want a joke in this spot, so you just kind of like come up with something on the spot, and then you know that you're gonna go back and fix it later, but they didn't fix it later. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's so I have to say, like, I'm not, even though I really did like Guardians 3 a lot, and I think it's a good, like, fitting end for that series, it's more of like, I kind of just see it as, this might be my exit from the MCU. You know what I mean? Like, unless I'm told that, whatever the next projects are really worth watching, I'm not sure that I'm that interested in seeing them.
The only thing that I was even remotely interested in seeing is the Blade movie with Mahershala Ali, and then apparently, I don't know if you've been paying attention to all the drama with that, but apparently, the first script that they got, Mahershala Ali like hated, and he's like, either you like fucking redo this or I'm quitting. Like, it was that bad. So then it pushed out like production for like a year or something. So they redid the script, and then with the current writer strike that's happening right now, I think it's getting pushed out even further, which is making me like, either this movie is going to be great or it's going to be like horrible. So that is the only movie I'm interested in seeing, and it's not even because like I don't give a shit about the MCU anymore. It's mainly just because I like Blade as a character. I mean, like, the original Blade movies with Wesley Snipes are like fucking amazing. So that's the only reason why I'm interested in seeing it. Other than that, like, I'm really not that interested in anything anymore. Is there any of the movies coming out that you know of that you're like, oh, that might be interesting?
I actually agree. I actually agree. I think that I am curious to see what they do with Blade, but outside of that, like, I don't know. Like, I think the new,
maybe Deadpool, maybe the new Deadpool, maybe.
Yeah, I did enjoy the other two, but I'm a little salty that they're bringing they're bringing Wolverine back. I don't know. I feel like the end to his character in Logan was special, and I know a lot of people are like, but they're bringing him back in like some kind of multiverse thing. But it's like, dude, I don't know. I feel like it is okay to just let something end.
Do you know what's so fucking weird about that too? Is Hugh Jackman on an interview, like one of those late night interviews, they were talking about, like, they're asking him like, why did you decide to have Logan be like your last film? Like, you've been playing this character forever, like, you're in so many movies, like, why is this the last one? And he was going on about like how he had a conversation with Jerry Seinfeld about like when he decided to end Seinfeld, and it's like, you need to know when it's time to end it, and he's like, you need to go out on a high note. Like, you don't need to be, like, you gotta stop when you're doing good, because you don't want to be like remembered as this character who like fell or something. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be diminished or like, you know what I'm trying to say here. So that's just fucking weird to me that he had like this whole big like interview, and maybe he. Honestly, maybe he was just fucking saying that so people would go see the fucking, like, Logan movie.
Yeah.
Because I don't fucking know.
That dump truck full of money pulled up, and he was just like, I don't know. Well, maybe I don't feel that way anymore.
You know how Wolverine is canonically a shorter character? He's like 5'6" or something. I don't understand, especially because Hugh Jackman can't fucking play him forever. Like, why don't you find a more comic accurate, like, especially too, shout out to all the short kings in here. If we're talking about like fucking representation in movies and shit like that, like, there is time. I do think it is time to have like a short, like, muscular, like, beefed out guy play Wolverine. Like, fucking why not? Like, you need like to like, especially if you're gonna make more of these movies, you want to cast someone who's like at least in his like late 20s. You know what I mean? So they can like keep up. Like, I don't know. That whole thing just seems odd to me.
Do you want to hear what I think? I feel like you're okay. First off, you're absolutely right. They should just recast Wolverine. I don't know why they're not doing that, but I think this will not be his last movie as Wolverine. I think they're absolutely going to bring him back in like some Avengers movie and have him in I will mark my words. You can come back. Anyone can come back to this podcast, and like when he shows up in the Avengers movie when they're all fighting whoever's replaced, or whoever Kang whoever is like the new Kang replacement or whatever is gonna be fighting him at the end, like an Endgame. Like I guarantee he's gonna show up. Probably Captain America too. Probably Iron Man at some point. I don't think any of these characters are really gonna be done. Like at the end of this movie, it feels like a perfect end for Star-Lord, and it feels like a perfect end for a lot of these characters. And it says Star-Lord will return at the end of Guardians, and it's just like I don't. It's such a nice ending because he goes to visit his grandfather. He goes on Earth and he goes to see his family because he feels that after losing Gamora, like he really has lost like such a big part of himself, and feels that like instead of just moving on. And that's something I really liked about the movie is these are all spoilers for people, but the new version of Gamora, who doesn't have the memories that they've shared together, doesn't get back together with him. Like there's like maybe there's like a hint of a spark at some point, and she kind of you get the sense that she wonders what that was like, but they do not get back together, and he has to find himself again, and that's part of what the movie is about. And I really appreciated. I think that with under another director or writer, they would have just had them get back together at the end, and I liked that they didn't do that, and I liked that he had to kind of find himself and his go back to his roots and go back to be with his family at the end. I liked that, and I don't need to see his character again. Like it's just I don't
need to see Chris Pratt again.
True, and I will say I did like him in this movie. I think that it's probably one of his better performances in a Guardians movie. But I will say we don't need to see him again. Like this is a nice end for his character. I think we're good. Like and just like all of these other characters, like it's okay. And it could just be the nature of comic books that like people just never want to see the end of like a certain actor playing a certain character in a movie. But I just it just disappoints me, and it makes me feel like nothing matters in these movies, and that they don't actually care. You know what I mean?
Okay. Do you know much about like Chris Pratt's like personal life at all?
Like a tiny bit. Not a ton. I know that he's like uber Christian, but other than that, not really.
So he's like very Christian, like mega Christian. You know, he's got like Jesus on speed dial. So like there was the whole thing with him and Elliot Page, where like he was going to like a church that was like very like anti-trans, anti-gay, and Elliot Page was calling him out for it. And then he had like this whole thing of like, I love everyone. You know what I mean? Like a apology, non-apology kind of thing. And then the thing that I find, this is incredibly parasocial. I admit that, and I'm not even saying like people like don't go see movies he's in. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like from the vibes I get from this guy, he just seems like a piece of shit because he used to be married to Anna Faris, if you know who she is. So they used to be married and they have one kid together, and I think their child has like some health problems. Like the kid's like okay, like the kid's not like chronically like ill and about to die, but like the kid had like some health problems, and later on he gets like divorced from Anna, and then he remarries, and then like there was like this thing like he posted on his Instagram a few years ago for like Mother's Day, and he was like thanking his new wife, and it's like, thank you for like giving me a healthy child. And it was like, okay, either this is like on purpose, or you're like the most like tone deaf fucking stupid person ever. Like why you would post this and like not, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like dismissive of your first wife and then also your first fucking child. And he's still doing this. He still posts shit on like online, like on his social medias pages, and it's like I don't like it's like he doesn't fucking acknowledge that he has like a son with his first wife, and it's so fucking weird. And it honestly, it feels like he just, like the sense I'm getting is like he wants to like ignore because like the kid has health issues or something. I don't fucking know. It's weird, and it's just off-putting, and it's like it just gives me bad vibes. Like I don't know what else to say, and it just kind of like, for me it translates into like when I see him and shit, I'm just like, ugh, fucking Chris Pratt like being a dick to his first wife and kid, and it's like, Jesus Christ. Like I again, like I said earlier, I know this is like 100% parasocial of me, but like I don't know, I just can't. He seems yucky to me.
I definitely don't feel like he seems like the best person, but I always struggle with that because I feel like there are a lot of actors and performers
Because
and
where
writers
where do you draw the line?
directors. Yeah, and that's where I always struggle. I thought he was good in the movie, but I agree. Like, I wouldn't like endorse him as a person necessarily, but I always struggle at like where's the point where I should be like, okay, I'm not seeing this because of this actor. Like, I think that, I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna see the Flash movie. I'm curious. It doesn't look amazing to me, but a lot of people are dealing with that with with Ezra Miller right now too, because WB is just in such a honestly shitty position. Like, you have to admit, like, they are not in a good position with this, and it's funny. Every single trailer is like basically framing it like it's a Batman movie. Like, they're trying to show as little of Ezra Miller as possible. What were you gonna say about it?
I decided that I'm not going to go see it in theaters, but like if it shows up on streaming one day, I might check it out. But I might just I might just be like fast forwarding to the parts with Michael Keaton. You know what I mean? Because I don't give a shit about Flash.
Yeah, and that's such a tough situation for them to be in. Like, I don't know what I would do if I was them either, because they've clearly put so much fucking money into this, and it's probably not going to do well. Like, I just don't see this. I do not think it's going to perform like as well as they need it to perform for it to make money. I don't see how that would be possible.
No.
There's just too much negative PR surrounding the movie, and I just don't. It still feels connected to and it is connected to the last DC universe, which they are obviously changing up once James Gunn comes in, and it's just like it's just confusing, and like, because apparently there's going to be characters from that previous universe that stay and actors that stay, and then some that don't, and this is going to be like the inflection point that like sort of changes the universe, and it's just confusing. I'm wondering if people are going to be able to go with it.
Are you gonna go see it in theaters, or are you gonna skip it?
I really do not want to see it. I don't know. I probably will at the very least watch it at home, but I don't know. I haven't really decided yet, to be honest. I know that I'm probably going to be seeing it alone if I did go see it in theaters, because I don't think there's anyone on this planet. Do you know anyone who's like excited for the Flash movie?
No,
I know a single person that have said. Everyone I've talked, I think the only people I've seen even online that are excited about it are just excited about seeing Michael Keaton, which I don't know. Obviously I'm looking forward to seeing him play that role again, but I just wish it didn't have to be like this. It just, even just if you take the Ezra Miller stuff out of it from the trailers, it just doesn't have the same feel to it. Like, the action scenes with him just look very like Marvel-y, like CGI, like crazy. It just doesn't look like it's going to have that same heart to it, and he just looks tired. I don't know.
You know what would have been fucking perfect? If they did a Batman Beyond and they fucking had him as Old Man Wayne.
That would be so perfect. I wish that was his return to the role instead of fucking Flash. That sounds way better. That would be great. He's the perfect age for that.
Yes! I don't want to come off like a big, like, fucking Batman Beyond, like, fanboy here, but, like, I can't help it. It's such a perfect story, and futurism, and, like, fun, and you can, like, cast someone, like, young and cool as Terry McGinnis's character, and, like, come on! It's right there! On a silver fucking platter!
DC has clearly showed that they're willing to have like separate, universes going on at the same time.
Yeah,
like they have
not
Batman
everything's connected
going on, which has a different Joker than the Joker standalone movies do, and apparently the new James Gunn series is going to have a different Batman and everything as well. So like, it's all going to be disconnected. Like, who fucking cares? Just let somebody do like a standalone movie, even if it was like a TV series. That could be cool too.
Oh my god, I would. Who do I need to, like, find and, like, beg them to do this? Please. Please.
It would also be interesting to see Tim Burton come back. Like, I know that he hasn't made anything good in, like, a while, but it would be cool to see him come back and make another Batman movie and give him another chance. Even though he might... I don't know how he would do with the Batman Beyond movie, but it'd be interesting.
I do feel like Batman Beyond was, like, a darker... Not even, like, dark because it's Batman, but it was, like, a darker kind of theme to everything, because like there were some pretty heavy topics I'm remembering from the TV show, so I think like a good like a gothic take on it would be good, and like Michael Keaton was probably the most like gothic out of all the Batmans, the recent ones, except for maybe Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
So
Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about regarding like Marvel stuff? We just talked for like 30
No,
minutes about superhero stuff, basically. So we can move on. Did you
I
have anything that you wanted to talk about that you saw that we could move on to?
I'm trying to. I think all the movies that I've seen recently, we've already done reviews for. But there's something. I know you probably haven't seen this at all, but there's something I'd like to rant towards you for a bit, if I could have a moment of your time.
Yeah, let's do it.
So you know about Sex and the City, right? Like, did you ever like watch the series, or like do you just know about it through like cultural osmosis?
So I basically just know about it through cultural osmosis, but I have seen like parts of the second movie.
Okay.
That's my only connection to it.
So for the original Sex and the City series, it came out in like 98, and then it ran for like I think 5 or 6 years, and there's two movies. And a lot of people like they're not everything's perfect about this series, like a lot of stuff isn't perfect. But it's one of those kind of like comfort things for me. Like I remember watching it as a kid. I probably shouldn't have been watching it as a kid, but I did anyway. Although I think I was watching it like on an edited channel, so like I didn't see like the sex scenes. It was just like the plot that was going on. And like for me, like I know it's like it's very just like bare bones. Like you have to be interested in like just following like the drama of interpersonal relationships and like seeing how it plays out. And it was comforting like when it was Sex in the City. But they did a reboot that's called And Just Like That. That's the name of the new reboot. And it is so bad. And season 2 is coming out in June. And I'm going to watch all of it because, you know, I hate myself. But it is
It's so interesting.
so
Well, I haven't heard almost anything about this. Like
it's
I haven't
bad.
seen
It's
anyone
bad.
talking about this. Is it called Sex in the City?
No, it's called And Just Like That.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So I haven't heard I genuinely am curious because I haven't heard anyone talk about it, and probably I guess it's probably because it sounds like it sucks according to you.
It does suck. And the thing that sucks about it is like I've been trying to think about how to explain this to you, but like you know how basically every single person who has like a right-leaning media channel, like when anything comes out, they're like, this is woke, it's got black people and gay people, it's woke. And then that's like their whole critique is just like they don't like that gay or black people are there.
Yeah. No,
That's
for sure. It's rough because there are some channels that I'll start watching a video from a new channel that I find, and I'll be like, oh, I'm curious about this. Like, I wonder what they think of this movie. And then you can tell pretty quickly if that's going to be the only critique. But it is frustrating because sometimes it's hard to separate yourself from those types of people, you know?
So the original Sex and the City series was incredibly white. Like all the main characters were white. All the like a lot of the side characters were white. There was very few people of color in the show whatsoever, and it was basically just like I think like 2 seasons. There was like Samantha and then Miranda. They were dating black men, and that was it. And it was very like very brief, like just like brief, like they were maybe dating for like a couple episodes, and it was over, and then it was on to the next person. That was it. And everything was like white, like rich white people living in New York, which is like it's New York. It's not just rich white people living there. So they really tried to. They wanted to kind of address that in the new series, and I don't really feel like they did a good job doing it. And it like I'm not saying like the series is bad because it's like from like the stupid right-winger perspective of like it's woke, but it's like they're trying really hard to like be progressive, and they're just there's something that's like not fucking clicking with the show, and it's a lot of like weird plot lines. Like, okay, so here's something that I think is very strange is one of the characters, she had infertility, so she adopted a baby from China, and they could have chose to do in the reboot, they could have chose to explore like what is it like when you adopt like a kid from like another country who's like a different race than you, and then like growing up with that. Like that's like do you know of any shows where they like talk about this? I don't. Like I feel like that would be interesting, and it would make sense to like follow the progression of these characters because it's a reboot and it's all the same fucking characters.
Yeah.
They kind of don't really bring that up at all. Like they could definitely bring up the fact that like maybe she's interested in finding her birth mom. Maybe there's like some like trauma associated with like you have these rich white parents who adopted you from like China, and your parents probably gave you up because of, like, the one child policy, because she's a girl. Like, it's perfect. Like, they could have fucking, like, brought that all up. Maybe they didn't because they want this show to, like, air in China, and that would be, like, the Chinese government would ban. I don't fucking know. But that was a perfect example of something they could have included. Another thing is that this family is Jewish, and the mom originally, like, converted to Judaism because the husband was like, I want to marry a Jewish woman. It's really important that my children are Jewish. Like, I had family that died in the Holocaust. Like, this is important to me. Like, I want to, like, carry on my family tradition. And their other daughter, who actually ends up coming out as non-binary, so then they go by they for the rest of the series. It's supposed to be like their bat mitzvah, and at the bat mitzvah, they're like, I just don't want to do this. Like, I don't fucking, like, care about any of this stuff. And they're basically, they just don't want to go through with it, because even though they never, like, directly said it, but it was kind of implied that, like, even though they were raised Jewish and they grew up Jewish, like, they don't have that connection to, like, faith. And I think that also would have been, like, an interesting conversation to explore of, like cultural associations with your family, and, like, following along with, like, customs when, like, you don't believe in, like, the religion associated with them. Like, that, again, that is something I haven't really seen on TV, and it would be a perfect plot line to explore, especially since these characters already exist, and they just didn't do it at all. Like, they didn't bring it up, and I just thought that was very weird.
Do you know if this iteration of the show, does it have, like, the same creators, directors, writers, or is it, like, a totally new? Okay, that's surprising then.
I think it's the same showrunner from the beginning. Like, I think his name is, like, Michael Patrick King or something. I don't fucking care. People can look it up if they really care. But I know they hired more writers and stuff to, like, have on the show for, like, different points of views. But I just think a lot of it seems kind of shoehorned in. Like, one of the characters, she's a lawyer, and then she goes back to university because, like, I think she wanted to get, like, a different degree. So one of her classes is taught by, like, a black professor, and it is the most cringy fucking thing ever. And I've seen other, like, black women critique this online, basically saying how, so, like, the person going back to school, she becomes, like, friends with her professor, and they're basically saying, like, this doesn't make any fucking sense how, like, this woman who's in, like, who's black and who's in, like, academia, who's in, like, this really high position within the university, is now just, like, buddies with, like, a student. You know what I mean? Like, a white student who was initially kind of, like, obtuse and, like, rude to her, and, like, low-key kind of racist. Like, they were just like, this doesn't make any fucking sense how this happened.
That does sound pretty odd.
The other thing that fucking sucks with this character is how so they had a whole big arc. Like, their whole thing in the original series was, like, they liked men. Like, it was very clear that this person was, like, straight. They even, like, brought it up, like, I'm not interested in, like, having sex with women, blah blah blah. Like, I'm not interested in any of that. And then also in the movies, they had this whole arc where her husband was cheating on her, and then they had to go through, like, they went through, like, counseling and everything to, like, come to a point of, like, are we going to stay together or are we going to get a divorce? And they ended up staying together, and it was, like, a beautiful moment where, like, they rekindled their relationship, and, like, she got to a point where, like, she forgave him for what he did, and, like, they moved past this. She starts cheating on him in the series. And it's, like, it's just so bizarre. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you feel like it's just not really, doesn't really feel like the same character, or it feels like it doesn't feel like anything from the original series and movies maybe mattered.
Yes.
Right? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically that. It's basically, like, I think they just had this character and they're like, yeah, we just want to, like, make her gay now, and now she's cheating on her husband. You know what I mean? Like, it's very out of left field. And
yeah, like, maybe if there were, like, hints at that, or at least if they didn't really reference that, like, that, but, like, if they've explicitly said that it wasn't a thing, and there's just been nothing leading up to it, it really does seem, do you think it's just kind of, not like shock value, but they're just trying to, that's probably not the right way to describe it, but they're just trying to surprise people just by throwing something in that is just like a sharp left turn, you know? That's what it feels like?
That's the sense that I'm kind of getting, is that, like, I think they were like, we want to reboot the show, we want it to be like fun and different from the original, and we want it to be more progressive, and they kind of like failed at everything. Like it's not really like character integrity. It's like, I don't see this as a progression of these original characters. These just feel like all new fucking characters, which at that point, just make a new fucking show. But they can't, because everything that gets greenlit nowadays is nostalgia bait.
Yeah, everything that gets greenlit now has to be like connected, whether it's like a remake or like a, you know, like a legacy sequel, they're calling them now. Like it has to be connected to something previous. And it's, but I don't know, like, I think a big part, a big fault. I think studios are ultimately at fault, but I don't know. Sometimes I do get frustrated with audiences too, because it's like, you're fucking going to see this shit, and it's like, God damn
I know. I'm part of the problem.
I'm also part of the problem. Let me say that again. I'm also part of the problem.
Another thing that's really terrible about this is one of the actors who's like the main character's love interest, Mr. Big. Chris North, the guy who plays him, it came out that he was like a sexual predator. Oh, yikes. So he can't come back to the show whatsoever. But also
they recast him, or
no, they killed him off, which I think he was killed off before all the allegations came out. But the way they killed him off was they had him riding a Peloton bike, and then he has a heart attack, and then he dies in the shower. And this all happens in the first episode.
What?
Yeah.
It's not. It's supposed to be like taken really seriously.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds like a punchline.
No,
it's like the worst ad for Peloton ever. Like, I'm genuinely kind of surprised that Peloton would allow like advertising like that. That's kind of surprising.
That is very odd. How, because usually, I know sometimes like brands don't mind their products being featured, even if there isn't a relationship, as long as the brand isn't being like diminished or like disparaged or anything like that. But that is really fucking weird how they make it very clear it's a Peloton bike, like Peloton brand, and he's biking along, and then he starts having a heart attack while he's biking, and then he gets up and he like is dying, having a heart attack he like walks into their walk-in shower, and he's like turning the shower on, and then he's like dying on the floor, like in the shower.
Yeah, like the most famous story of that, and I think that it might be a little bit different. I actually may have said this already on the podcast, but whatever. I'll just say this really quickly. But in Minority Report, there's a scene where he can't see. Have you seen that?
Yes, the bathtub.
Well, yeah, he can't see, and he reaches. He's like trying to find
the sandwich,
like, water
the sandwich.
or something. Or no, it's actually the milk. Like he reaches into the refrigerator, drinks this milk, and it's actually this famous milk, like local brand in LA, and they didn't clear it. Which for such a big movie, like a Spielberg movie with Tom Cruise, based on such a big like sci-fi book, it's like, how the fuck did you guys not clear this, or like just digitally like go in and airbrush it out? Like, I don't know, but they made, like, that company made fucking bank, like suing them, because like, yeah, he literally like vomits after drinking it because it was old and spoiled. So it's like I remember I think that it's a little different, because like you don't want to drink, you know, you don't want to even. You don't want anyone to envision your product like making you sick. Like with the Peloton thing, anyone doing any kind of exercise could have some kind of heart attack or anything. But still, the association is weird, right?
Yeah, that is really weird. I wonder. I don't care about Peloton, but I wonder if they did anything.
Honestly, fuck Peloton. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about the company specifically, but those bikes are it's just fucking overpriced ass bike with a fucking iPad in it. Like, fuck you. It's like $3,000 or something. Like, whatever. Just buy an exercise bike for like a couple $100. Like, Jesus.
There goes our Peloton sponsorship. Thanks, Ryan.
Oh yeah, this is brought to you by Peloton. Oh fuck. Oh no.
Okay, so back to and just like that. So the other thing that sucks, so they killed off one of the really important like love interest characters in a very weird, fucking weird way. And I think they were gonna have him come back in flashbacks, but because of all the sexual assault allegations, they're just like, nope, he's not coming back whatsoever.
I don't know why that's funny, but it's just like, oh man, he just got nuked from the show completely.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn that into what is it, like an adjective, or what is it, a verb? Like he got Pelotoned.
He got Pelotoned out of the show. Oh man. Peloton, you'll die on their bikes. That's what they're trying to say.
God. Fucking hell. Okay, so back to the show. One of the main characters from the original series just didn't want to come back because she, honestly, good for her, because she had integrity of being like, I've moved on with my life. I feel like my character had like a good like story, like in the old stuff. So like I don't need to come back. Like I'm good. And also she didn't want to come back because apparently Sarah Jessica Parker was like a bitch to her, which fair. Like I can understand like if you don't want to come back, like that would make sense. Oh, and then another main character in real life died. So then he got written out of the show in a very weird way.
Sorry, I'm just imagining like he died on a Peloton as well.
In real life?
Oh man. Sorry. Continue.
So he died, and then they didn't want to kill him off in the story because Big just died. So what they did for his character is they said that he became like a publicist, and he went to Asia with like a pop star as their publicist, and that's his story character. Like that's where his character went. It's all very weird.
Why is the show called And Just Like That? I feel like that's such a... I don't like the title. I don't know. Not that matters. But just why not just call it Sex in the City Generations? I don't know. Something... Sex in the City Legacy.
So I think Carrie, who's the main character, she's like a sex columnist, and like she writes about relationships, and her like basically like at the end of like every single column she wrote, she was like, and just like that, he fucked me, or like, you know what I mean?
Okay,
like
so it actually like does have some kind of, it does make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes sense if you follow the show lore. Oh, I also bless you for listening to me just like rant about this when you have probably no interest in watching this. I'm almost done. I'm wrapping it up here. So there was two main interests, like love interests for Carrie in the first series. One is Big, and he got Peloton, so he's out. The other one is Aiden, who was like, honestly, like if you had to pick a guy, like you get to pick Mr. Big or you get to pick Aiden. I'm picking Aiden. Like he was like hotter in my opinion, younger, and he had like more of a personality, and he was like more emotionally available to Carrie. So like I'm going with Aiden. But anyway, she's like dating Aiden in the original series, and then she starts cheating on Aiden with Big, and that was a whole thing. But they're teasing in this new series that like Aiden is coming back, and like Carrie and him are going to start dating again.
Are you so you're not looking forward to that? That's going to be bad.
I just think it's weird because the original series was like he proposed to her, and then she was like very wishy-washy, being like, yeah, I don't really want to be with you. Like she like accepted the proposal, and then she's like, yeah, I don't want to get married. And it was all very awkward. And then also she was cheating on him. So it's kind of like, I think like the story needs to progress. Yeah, the story needs to progress past Aiden, because they're just backtracking at this point.
They're just trying to member berries people and be like, oh yeah, this is connected to a thing that happened in the past, so you have to watch it. Like
he got married and he had 2 kids, so like what happened to the wife? Did she also get Peloton?
Oh man, that better okay, I really hope they like at least don't say how she died, so we can like assume that like in universe, like the Peloton is like they have like tens of thousands of lawsuits against them. They're just like causing everyone to have a heart attack. That's the story that they should go with if they do like another spinoff.
Oh god, that'd be amazing. So yeah, I'm gonna watch this series because like I am part of the problem, but also it's gonna be bad. But you know what's crazy? Everyone else agreed that the show was really bad, but their ratings were also really high because everyone was still watching the whole series.
It's so funny the way that works. Like, I think that I don't know why the whole time when you were talking about this, I was just thinking about I have not watched the Picard show, the new Star Trek reboot show, but I don't know why I was thinking about that because people had some similar complaints about it. Like, and there are some like obvious like really cringy like right wing people that are like, it's too woke, but there are some people that are genuinely just like, okay, this just seems like really really cheap, lazy writing, and it seems like you're kind of just trying to pull from things that happened in the past and just kind of bank off of that as much as you can. And I don't know. I think it's interesting. I feel like a lot of shows are just, man, what are they going to bring back next? I feel like every single older show is going to be, or movie series is going to be brought back by a streaming service.
I don't care about like, obviously I don't care about like if a show has like progressive themes or representation or like different types of characters. Like I don't care about that. I just want the stories to be told well. And the Sex and the City reboot just did not do that in my opinion. There's also like a bunch of fucking stuff I've like neglected to tell you, but there's only there's only so long I can talk about something you haven't even seen. But yeah, that's gonna be what I'm watching in June. Is there any other movies that you've seen recently that you want to like give like a quick review or like tell me about or like pitch to me why I should go see it? I'm not doing Guardians 3. They've already gotten fucking $40 for me. They're good. But anything else?
Let me think. There's like quite a few movies that I've seen that I haven't talked about on the podcast, but one that I would recommend that I thought was surprisingly good that I never in a million years thought I would have enjoyed is the new Dungeons and Dragons movie. Have you heard anything about this?
I just know that Chris Pine is in it, and it's like Dungeons and Dragons. That's about it.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's not a particularly deep movie, but I think that it feels unlike a lot of the Marvel movies, which I guess I just have to compare everything to. It's just where my brain goes. I think that it's funny, but not in a way that feels like it's like looking down on the source material. Like it feels like genuinely silly and goofy in the way that playing like a D&D campaign with your friends is, but it's not in a way that's constantly winking at the audience. Cause like, I don't know, like a lot of Marvel humor, it gets frustrating to me sometimes because it gets very like winky at the camera and they kind of just like I think like in the last Spider-Man movie there were a lot of, which I think is okay, which I thought was pretty good, but there are a lot of jokes in it that kind of boil down to like, wow, this is stupid. Like, oh my God, this is so dumb. Like, can you believe this character's name? Like, oh, it's so stupid. And there's just a constant like, it's like embarrassed to be what it is. And I think that one thing I appreciated about the humor in this movie is it feels like it comes from like the goofy situations and characters that are in this. And I also thought like the story was surprisingly like competent too. And I guess I think it would probably be a good like little double feature with Guardians 3, honestly, because it feels like a return to the type of blockbuster movies that were made in like the late 90s and were actually just a fun time at the theater. And maybe you're not going to like go back to it and watch it over and over again a million times, but it felt like something that was adapted well. And there's a lot of nice references to like a lot of the Black Isle Dungeons and Dragons properties like Baldur's Gate and like Icewind Dale, but it doesn't feel like out of place. It doesn't feel like it's just trying to like go out of its way to be like referential to its source material. It feels like pretty like well ingrained, or it feels like pretty well integrated into the world. And yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. And I also really liked a lot of it has a lot of good practical monsters and effects in it too, which I really appreciated. And just a lot of like really clever action scenes, especially with the druid character in the movie, who I'm forgetting what her name is, but just changing into different animals. And there's this really nice action scene that just kind of follows her character from behind as she's like trying to escape from these guards in this city, and it goes on for a really long time, and it goes on for a while, and she's like escaping and like using her powers to transform into different animals as she has to like navigate this castle and like escape. And there are a lot of really fun, like well directed scenes like that with some fun special effects. And yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It's a good time at the theater. I think it's out on VOD now as well, so I think you might enjoy it.
I think you probably sold me when you said practical effects.
Yeah, no, and it's crazy. Like there were some effects in the movie that I didn't even realize were practical, but it's almost but it was like a pleasant surprise kind of way. Like there's this character in the very beginning of the movie, there's just this bird-like humanoid guy, and it's just completely practical. And seeing, I was watching some because the director posted a lot of behind the scenes stuff of like the special effects, and just watching this bird creature. And if anyone hasn't seen the movie, or if anyone's curious, you should look up I think his name is John Daly, the director, and he directed this other funny movie called Game Night, and he was an actor in the series Freaks and Geeks. Like, he's like the young boy in that show, and was really good in that show. But he's a director now. But yeah, he posts some really good behind the scenes stuff from the movie, and just all these really cool practical effects. And it really does feel like something straight out of the 80s. It's like Jim Henson style, like puppetry and stuff, kind of enhanced with some CGI, but not too much to where it gives you that like weird uncanny valley look and doesn't feel real. And just like watching this bird character walk around in this behind the scenes video, like, it honestly doesn't seem real. Like, it seems like in the little phone video that he posted, it looks like someone animated it somehow, but it is like this guy just walking around in this ridiculous, like, crazy looking costume. I don't know. There's a lot of really cool effects in it, and it kind of excites me because I hope that I don't know if they need to make more movies with this crew of characters. I would kind of be more interested to see them, like, each D&D movie is maybe a different cast with, like, unique, like, just a good supporting cast and like a whole new story. Like, I think that would be really cool to see them do that. I mean, we'll see if they do. I mean, Chris Pine and all the actors in this were great, but I would kind of like to see them like change it up. But I would actually be like, I think I was just very surprised leaving the theater because I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did.
Okay, I might check it out now. Now that it has your seal of approval. That was one of the movies that I was interested in seeing, but I don't like going to movies by myself, and my partner has been out of town a lot lately for work, so it's just I know like it's fine to go to a movie by yourself. The last time I ever went to a movie by myself was like when I was a kid. And do you remember the movie where this kid gets a dog and the dog is from outer space, and then we find out that all dogs are from outer space?
Oh my god, no. What is that? I don't think I've heard of that.
You haven't heard of this movie? Well, it came out in like 2005 or whatever, but that was the last time I went and saw a movie by myself. Was the weird. Hang on, I'm gonna look this up.
That is so interesting. I love that you remember that. I honestly don't. Actually, no. I literally do remember the last movie I saw alone in the theater was Avatar 2.
Okay, the the movie is called Good Boy, and it's an intergalactic dog pilot from Sirius, the dog star, visits Earth to verify the rumors that dogs have failed to take over the planet.
I kind of think I remember a trailer for that. Would you recommend Good Boy? Is that what you're saying?
I remember liking it back in 2003. I don't know how much I don't know how well it's held up since then, but that was the last movie that I saw in theaters by myself. I think it's the only time I've ever seen a movie by myself.
I understand that. I think that it's definitely a different vibe. I don't know. It's pretty close by, like, my movie theater that I typically go to, so it's like a 5-minute drive. I don't know. I don't really mind if it's during the day, and I know it's something that my girlfriend Michelle doesn't want to see. I'll just go see it during the day, and it's cheaper. Sometimes it's nice to not have like a smaller crowd there too, or it's especially if it's. Oh, I also saw Black Adam alone, and it was just me in the theater by myself, and that was so funny. Oh my god.
I remember
it was
when you did that,
so
you were
awkward.
you were texting me photos of you in the theater by yourself when you saw Black Adam. I remember this.
The dynamic in the DC universe really changed, like The Rock said that it would.
Do you remember how serious we took that review as well? And then they came out that, like, yeah, he's not coming back. Henry Cavill isn't coming back. We're scrapping all of this. We're like,
we're done with this shit. Fuck this.
Damn, we were invested, and no more.
Don't worry. In like 5 years, James Gunn will be out, and Zack Snyder will be back. And I don't know. I'm kidding.
Oh my god! Could you imagine if like something crazy happens and then the Snyderverse comes back?
There are still a lot of people online that think that's going to happen and want that to happen, and yeah, there's a whole community of people who I'm sure that if we bring them up, we will summon them and they will try to kill us and our families. I don't know how I'm saying that, but they seem kind of insane to me. I don't know. The Zack Snyderverse fan. Okay, I do not hate Zack Snyder. I'm not talking shit about him. I want nothing to do with you. Please leave me and my family alone. He seems like a perfectly fine person. I don't have any issues with him.
I actually what is it, like a backhanded compliment? I think his movies are good for him. You know what I mean?
You're like, I love that for you.
Yeah, basically that's how I feel about him. Is like, yeah, this seems like the best that you could do. Like, you know what I mean?
He's just such a, I don't know. Patrick Willems, the video essayist guy, has a really good video about Zack Snyder, and I think it kind of sums up how I feel. Like he's really good with visuals, and he's good with just capturing this like macho, like fuck you kind of vibe, but outside of that, not much else. There's not much depth there outside of like creating cool images that seem like they. And honestly, I have to give him a lot of credit. Like, I think some of his movies are like amazing visually. Like he can, he's really good with like composing.
He should just be a cinematographer.
He was on his latest what was it called? I don't remember what it was called. It was some zombie movie that he made, and it was
he should like
rough.
just do that.
It was kind of rough. But yeah, no, I agree. I think that my thing is, I think that he should not write his movies. Like I think
or direct them.
Yeah, so some of his direction is interesting, like visually, but like maybe if he had a co-director and then someone else wrote his movies, like I don't know. I would be interested to see, because he hasn't directed anything that he has not written in like forever. And I think like wait. This is the other zombie movie that he made, the remake of Dawn of the Dead. Did he write that? I don't know. Anyway, I think that I would like to see him, even if he does direct it, I'd like to see him like let somebody else take over writing, because I think that visually and like even some of his directing like is okay, but it's just his writing, it just does not. It's just not the best. Like some of his general ideas can be cool too, but I don't know. I'm just not. I used to be kind of into Zack Snyder, but not so much anymore.
He's kind of like he's not as bad as Michael Bay, but it's like you know how like I've talked about before how there'll be like a really cool part of a movie and it's like a good like 10-second scene. You're like, wow, that was really good, and then like everything else is like just kind of there. That's kind of how I feel about Zack Snyder. Like there'll be like one part and it's like, wow, that was really cool, and then you have to watch the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and like I can at least appreciate that, like not all of Michael Bay's movies, but some of his movies that I do kind of like are just kind of, it's not taken that seriously. Like Zack Snyder's movies are like have like the most serious tone that you'll ever see in your entire life, and that's why I kind of was okay with. I didn't love it, but I kind of liked the new his like Snyder cut of Justice League, because it did actually have more humor and like levity than I thought it would. I don't know. Joss Whedon's version of that was like
dog shit.
It's so funny that like everyone kind of came around and were like, holy shit, this is like in comparison, it's like he made Citizen Kane, you know what I mean? Like it's like Joss Whedon's version of Justice League is just like probably one of the worst superhero movies I've ever seen. I don't know. I really hated it.
Especially when you look at like what was a reshoot and what made it in the original movie, the Zack Snyder's version, and you realize how many reshoots were like upshots of Gal Gadot's ass.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like at least and just I think a lot of those actors talked about it afterwards too, just saying how difficult. I'm forgetting the guy who played Cyborg, but
Ray Wilson.
Yeah, he talked about how horrible it was working with Joss Whedon, and just he cut literally he was important to the movie, and he cut like basically every scene with him in his version, and it's just like,
it was sad. I feel like, did he get blackballed? I feel like I haven't seen him in anything.
I don't know, to be honest. I haven't seen him in anything either, but I don't know. It sucks.
I thought he was good in Justice League, and that's like a, it's a major like blockbuster movie. I feel like I would have seen him more by now. I don't know. That makes me sad. I hope he wasn't like blackballed for like speaking out against Joss Whedon, because that would be.
See, I don't think he should be, because like I think Joss Whedon has basically been blackballed completely. Like I don't think he's working anymore. Hopefully he didn't kind of just go down with that ship, you know?
I think actually Joss Whedon is working on a Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot right now, which gives me like so many mixed feelings. Hang on, what is Joss doing right now? Yep, his IMDb looks like they're gonna do like a reboot or like a sequel series to Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
As another legacy sequel type of thing, like we were talking about earlier.
Which I don't know what's gonna happen with that, because most of the original cast has either like said they don't want to do it because they're like, no, I'm good. I feel like my character left in a good spot, so I'm good, or they don't like him. So like, it can't really be a reboot. It'd have to be like a sequel.
Is Sarah Michelle Gellar interested?
No, she said, I remember seeing in an interview, she's like, as important as this character was to me, and I know it was to so many other people, I feel like my character, I feel like my time playing this character has like ended. Basically, like she's
how do they? That's crazy. Like, you just let it go. Like, I think if she was coming back, I would understand. Like, but how do you do it without her? Like, she's like the face of that. Like, I know there's other important characters too, but like, that's tough.
Well, you know what? You know what makes me really sad? The guy who plays Spike on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Joss Whedon, or not Joss Whedon, James Marsters. He basically said that he doesn't want to come back because he's like, you know, it's been 20 years, and he's like, I played a vampire who is supposed to be like immortal and not age, and it's like, I don't really think it's gonna, like, he's like, I don't think it's gonna translate well if I come back and I'm like 20 years older. Like, you know, like the whole point about Spike was that he's supposed to be like young and athletic and like fit and like, you know, immortal, and he's not supposed to change. So it's like, as long as he doesn't come back, like that character is like, you know what I mean? It's gonna like stay that version. But if he comes back, it's not like they're gonna put like shit tons of de-aging CGI on him. Like, that's just not gonna look good. So I really appreciate him saying that, because he was such a popular character in that show, where I bet like if he wanted like a quick paycheck and he was like, yeah, I'll come back, like he like, you know what I mean, they probably would say yes. But I appreciate his integrity of being like, no, this character's done, like I'm done, and like it doesn't make sense for me to come back.
Damn, who's coming back?
I don't know.
I was just thinking, like, who the fuck is coming back? Like, if oh man, that's rough.
Yeah, literally everyone is either like, I'm good, or they don't like him. Like Charisma Carpenter. Oh, do you know anything that happened with her? So she got pregnant during, she was on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer spin-off series Angel, and she got pregnant during the fourth season. So, you know, she's having a kid, and Joss Whedon basically didn't want to deal with her being pregnant while they were filming this you know, the season, because obviously like her body's going to change and they're going to have to come up with like a story of like why she's pregnant. And he told her to abort the baby.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That's like, honestly, I thought you were just going to tell me that, which this would have been shitty too, that he was just like, he like cut her out of tons of scenes or something. Like, he told her to abort. That's fucking insane.
Yeah, and because they still had her character in the show, they basically wrote her a very, 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 very weird fucking storyline where she basically has sex with like what is the equivalent of like her adopted son, and she gets pregnant by him. Yeah, that's what happens. And she's come out and said, like, Josh said, like, a whole bunch of, like, horrible stuff. Like, he'd call her, like, a fat cow and, like, be really, really abusive to her. And, said, like, a lot of really horrible shit to her. So, basically, she talks about how he peer pressured her to abort the baby. Babies don't ruin careers. Employers who don't support women do. It's, like, the whole article. Yeah, you can look it up.
Like, I understand maybe cutting down on what the character does in the show, like, physically, maybe, but you can always get, like, stunt doubles and stuff for that, too. But outside of that, it's just, like, just let them work. If they want to.
Joss Whedon isn't, like, an incredibly creative person. Like, he could have figured out a way around this. He just chose not to. And he just chose to be fucking cruel and mean. Yeah, Charisma Carpenter says that Joss Whedon accused her of sabotaging Angel with her pregnancy. Yeah. That's sad.
So yeah, the new Buffy show coming out soon. Yeah. I don't know who's going to be in it. I don't know if people are going to watch it, but
I don't know. That's going to be interesting. I was watching someone do like a retrospective on Buffy, and they were talking about how because of all the allegations that came out, they're like, I can't view this series the same way anymore. And the person basically said, as amazing as this series is, and as much as like it's been an important part of so many people's lives and it's touched everyone's lives, it's like none of this series was worth the pain of everyone who had to like deal with Joss Whedon's abuse to go through. And he was like, if I could press a button to like this series will go away, but like none of these people had to experience all this abuse, like he's like, I would press the button. And I was like, yeah, same.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. I feel like I haven't really experienced that with a creator that I like and follow. Like that I don't know. Because obviously like I did watch like a decent amount of Buffy, but I don't have that same connection to it, I guess. I don't know. It would be it's always something that I think about. Like, I don't know. It's just a crazy thing. Like, you can only separate the art from the artist so much, you know?
It's all very personal, and there is no good answer. Like, whenever we see people freaking out about Harry Potter all the time now and J.K. Rowling, like, I think most of that series is garbage, but I like the third movie, and I don't see it as...
That's a based take, by the way. That's correct.
True.
The third movie is amazing, but yeah.
The third movie is the only movie that was actually made by like an actual director with a vision. Who made it?
Alfonso Cuarón.
Yeah. So everything else is made by like fucking Christopher Columbus or like David. Is it David Yates?
David Yates. The fuck directed? David Yates is the one. Yeah.
Yeah. So the third book, like I like it, and she can't. Her transphobia and her being fucking shitty and wishing that I would probably like be dead isn't gonna take away the fact that like this book and movie that I saw when I was a kid like was special to me, and then that's it.
Yeah,
but I know
I don't know. Like, I know
some people can't feel that way.
Yeah, like, could you go back and watch that movie and enjoy it, or is it?
Yeah.
And I could. I think I feel that way too. Like, because I still. This isn't the exact same thing, obviously, but I still listen to Kanye. Like, I don't know if I would like I wouldn't like financially support him, but I don't know.
You wouldn't go to a concert?
No, man. I mean, he did watch 21 Jump Street, and that did change everything. But so I think it's fine now. But no, I had to say that. But it is really difficult because I do have like a connection to his music, and I don't know. I mean, he was my most listened to artist for many, many years in a row. So I really like a lot of his music, and I'm not going to stop listening to it. Like, I know people that are like, I don't understand how you could still put it on at all. And it's definitely disappeared from some of my public playlists, but I still got my own playlist with some Kanye on it. But
you have the secret flash drive with Kanye music you keep under your floorboards.
Yeah, like I think, and I have I have like a Kanye like Life is Pablo. I have a Kanye The Life of Pablo hat too. That maybe there may be photos of me wearing it somewhere. I don't know. Like, but I don't know. It's one of those things. Like, I think that for me, if those messages were like deeply like Nazi fucking messages were like deeply ingrained in the music, and it was like, oh shit, I didn't recognize that. Like, if it was that kind of thing, then I think Kanye is just like very deeply mentally unwell. But anyway, that's a different story. But what were you gonna ask?
I don't know enough of his music, but I would be interested to see a deep dive if someone would be like, here's a retrospective of like every like, and I don't know, you know what I mean, like every anti-Semitic thing he ever like dog whistled in his music. I think that would be also the fact that no one would point it out until now. But I don't know. Anyway, that'd be interesting to see. But I don't know enough about his music. What I was gonna ask you is there something where like okay, what's your favorite, like who's your favorite like director right now, or like favorite movie or TV series or whatever?
So I always think about when I think about this and like in terms of like cancellation stuff, I guess I always think about David Lynch. Like, what if like some really horrible shit came out about him? So I guess that would be my
okay. So
one.
David Lynch. Okay, we found out that David Lynch. Okay, here's I'm making up. This did not happen, by the way. Everything I'm saying is completely fictitious. None of this happened. That I know of. If this ends up coming out that it did happen, then I'm fucking Nostradamus. Okay, let's say we find out that David Lynch for years has been like breeding cats, and then like when they're kittens, he like lets them out in his backyard, and then he like shoots them with like target practice.
Oh God. Like, I really okay. I don't know. This might make some people unhappy, but like, I don't know if there's anything that you could say that he did that would make me like not watch some of the work
I
that he's
even
made that I
said
like.
kittens because I know you like cats.
I know. I don't know. Like that's horrible, and I don't know how people feel about this. Like it's a very complicated thing. I think it would definitely be harder to watch his stuff. I don't think I would support his like future work, but like it's so difficult. I don't know. It's like when you connect with like again, if that like sort of messaging was like ingrained in the work and you could kind of see that looking back, I feel like that would bother me more. I think I can kind of separate it a little bit. It's so tough because like there are a lot of directors who I've like watched and enjoyed their stuff who like horrible things have come out about them that are objectively bad. Like I used to be big into Woody Allen's movies, and like the whole story with him is just awful. And there are some of his movies that I will never go back and watch because looking back, there are some weird themes and things that when I was younger and I watched them, like when I was 18 or 19, I didn't recognize were really creepy. Like Manhattan was a movie by Woody Allen that I used to really like. And looking back, it is about like him getting into a relationship with like a fucking 17-year-old girl. Like, which a lot of people it's like a very, like, it's on that shit's on the Criterion Collection. Like, it's very, like, it's a very highly regarded movie. And it's like, it is like, he's a very funny guy in a lot of ways. And he's made some stuff that holds up better than that, obviously. But it is just with people like him, it's hard to go back to it. But again, I don't have the connection to him that I do with, like, David Lynch's work, who fortunately, as far as we know, is not killing cats in his backyard yet, Who knows what could push him to do that?
You know who's someone who actually I have gotten to a point where like I have a hard time watching his shit anymore, and he like made one of my favorite movies ever is Luc Besson with Fifth Element. But like him and his first wife, right? Oh, okay, so like people are gonna. I don't want to get into like an age of consent like fucking debate in here, but like. He met like his first wife when she was like younger, and I think they got married when she was like 16, and they had a kid when she was 16. He's the one who made the movie like Leon the Professional. Natalie Portman.
That's so funny. Like I remember, so I remember not okay. I watched that movie when I was younger, and I remember it was like something that a lot of people like highly regarded. I remember finding it creepy, like watching it. I don't know. Like his whole thing with it's Natalie Portman and not Keira Knightley, right? I think.
Yeah,
it's his whole thing with Natalie Portman in the movie was it was creepy to me. It felt a little weird, and that makes sense. Like what you just told me based on that movie. And I'm not saying like it's a bad movie or anything. I think there's some good things about it, but I just remember being kind of creeped out by it when I watched it. So that makes sense.
Yeah, he has like a history of like fetishizing underage, like dubious consent, like kind of relationships with women, and then also he has like a history of like doing that in his personal life. So true, but anyway, like I think I've gotten to the point now where I don't really want to watch any of his shit anymore.
That's fair. I think it's just it's tough. Like I won't watch any of Woody Allen's movies like anymore. Like I don't watch any of his newer movies. But man, it's complicated. It's very much like a case by case basis thing. Like it's so hard because like I mean so many people like I'll still listen to like Michael Jackson and stuff too. I think everyone has a different threshold for it, and I don't think it's.
I think what it comes down to is like media consumption in a lot of ways is very personal. Like what speaks to people, like what art they like is very personal. So then when you find out someone like horrible did something, and it's like you just have like conflicted feelings about it, and then you just kind of have to make the decision for yourself, like what you're gonna do. I do think there's like a bigger conversation to like when it comes to like I don't know, like big movie reviewers or like big people in like Hollywood when they excuse like other people's stuff and they're like, yeah, like it's gonna be very telling like who shows up at the red carpet for the Flash movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
like there's going to be a lot of discourse about this. It's like you're like a public figure who's kind of like, by being there, you're kind of endorsing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I wouldn't be surprised if like somehow if the movie does really well, which I don't think it will, I wouldn't be surprised if they like at least like toy with the idea of bringing Ezra Miller back. Like I don't think that that's like an impossibility, depending on how it does.
I remember hearing, I don't know if it was just a rumor, like someone who's trying to do like clickbait shit, but I remember hearing that they were talking about keeping Ezra Miller in the DC movie universe, which I feel like is a bad choice to make.
Yeah, and I don't like, to be completely honest, I don't see why you would be like dying to keep him in the universe. Like he's not like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I understand. Like I think that I mean I liked her in that role, at least for the first Wonder Woman movie specifically. And again, some of the like Henry Cavill, I understand like wanting him to stay even though he's not. But like Ezra Miller, like he doesn't really stand out in that role to me. I don't know why you would be dying to keep him. Just move on. Just recast him. Like people will understand. The people will understand. Just recast him.
Also, no one really gives a shit about Flash. Let's be real here.
No one cares about the Flash. Like, there's a reason. I honestly, a lot of people making fun of the marketing for the Flash movie, just saying like how they're just marketing it as a Batman movie. Because of Ezra Miller, I'm pretty sure they'd be doing that anyway. Like even if there weren't all the allegations against it or all the horrible things that he did, like I think they'd still market it in the same way. Like Flash is not. It's just not that interesting of a character. I don't know. Like maybe you could make him interesting, but like he really wants to be with his mom or something, and he's kind of goofy. He's kind of silly. He's a silly guy. Like
I don't give a shit about any of that. Like immediately, like like if we're in a pitch meeting and you're like, "Here's the story," and I'm like, "Next, next button."
Yeah,
like,
move on. Like, and I feel like you already have a character in Quicksilver in the X-Men movies that was done pretty well. Like, so I don't know. Like, do I need to see super fast guy in slow-mo who is like kind of silly? Like again, like no. I think I'm good. Again, kind of curious about the Batman stuff. Very weird that they're bringing General Zod back. I don't understand that, but all right.
That's just gonna make me sad that Henry Cavill isn't there because he needs to be in everything.
Maybe he'll show up. Who knows? Just one last time, and they'll be like, he's not gonna show up again though. This is the last one, and he just keeps showing up to like tease people, just to fucking annoy everyone.
Oh, it's not. Earlier when we were talking about the guy who plays Cyborg, it's not Ray Wilson. It's Ray Fisher. I just googled Ray Wilson, and the first thing that comes up is a Scottish singer. So no, we're not talking about him.
Maybe we do talk about it. Maybe that'll be the last segment.
Let's see. Ray.
You just
Wilson.
just straight up read the entire Wikipedia article. It's a whole.
Yeah, he's in a post grunge band called Stiltskin, and he was in Genesis.
Oh, I might have to check. I might have to check them out.
So there we go. Ray Wilson. Let's hope he didn't do anything.
So I liked this. I actually liked this format of how we kind of just like talked about whatever. I did have some other movies that I saw that I wanted to talk about, but I think that this has kind of gone on a bit. So I think maybe we could just do another podcast like this if you're down.
Oh yeah, for sure. You wanna end it here?
Yeah, we can wrap it up. And so I guess conclusion. Guardians 3 is pretty cool, and you should see that. You should not watch Ant-Man 3. That was not very cool. And Dungeons and Dragons movie is pretty good. You should check that out. And also the dog movie that you recommended. What was that again? Good Boy.
Good Boy.
And then the Sex and the City reboot is terrible.
Yeah, only watch it if like you want to like seethe like in your chair and like hate everything, and then go read articles about how everyone else also hates everything.
There is some kind of, I don't know. I get something out of that too sometimes. If it's a franchise that I have a connection to and I feel like they're ruining it. Like, I don't know. There's something that you feel some sense of obligation to finish it, you know?
I'm just invested with all these characters. Like I said, I grew up watching this when I was a kid. Probably shouldn't have been watching Sex and the City as a kid. Oh well, it happened anyway.
And hey, maybe they'll fix it. Maybe the next season will
oh God.
Who knows?
I don't I'll let you know if they do.